Monday Night Raw starts off with Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk. Starts off with them having a promo segment. Starts off with Seth Rollins being, of course, the special guest referee for a match at SummerSlam. He mentions how basically that if they touch each other, the match is canceled, and that if they touch him, the match is canceled. They can't touch him, and they can't touch each other. CM Punk goes outside the ring, leaves the ring to, avoid confrontation, to avoid, trying to control himself, But then Seth Rollins comes back at him, ends up telling him that, look, you always want to make everything about yourself. You always want everything to be the CM Punk way, but this is not how that works in this scenario. And that if you want this match, you need to get back in this ring because I'm the one who run things. I'm the only one who can host this match, and I could cancel the match if you want me to because no other referees want to do the match. So without me, there is no match. Without Seth Rollins, there is no match for SummerSlam. Then Seth Rollins starts mentioning the rules. He ends up saying that there's only one rule. The only rule is that no matter what, you guys must listen to me. That's it. He said, look, if I don't count the three, I don't count the three. If I don't do a count out, I don't do a count out. Basically, this match is going to be pure chaos. Basically, it's going to be random. Whatever Seth Rollins wants to do, you just have to follow along. That's it. Like, he can do whatever he wants. He's the one that runs things. You got to do whatever he says, basically. I love that. I love that it's not a specific rule. It's just whatever Seth Rollins wants to do. Seth, you just got to obey him, basically. I love that stipulation. I love that because that match is going to be chaos. And it's going to be some shenanigans with Seth Rollins screwing both of them. Because I think he's going to screw both of them in that match. So I can't wait to see how that plays out. Then Punk ends up, going to Seth Rollins, ends up saying that, look, I already know you're not going to be fair about this, but whatever you do not help me out because I don't need your help and I never will need your help. Then Drew McIntyre comes in the picture, ends up saying that CM Punk needs to stop worrying about Seth and needs to worry about him. He ends up saying he ends up mentioning how much he hates CM Punk, mentioning, him screwing him over and over and over again. He mentions how he poisoned everyone's mind into thinking he's the good guy. Mentioned how he can't even go to the supermarket without people chanting CM Punk, which I thought was hilarious. But then he ends up saying that he's getting paid a bunch of money to do something that he would have just done for free. And he ends up saying that the only way the match is going to stop is by either Seth Rollins stopping the match or until your heart stops, which I thought was a very good line, man. Drew McIntyre has been on a whole nother level ever since this heel turn, and I have been loving everything he's been doing ever since. Then Punk ends up saying that he ends up alluding to how he may not be as fast, he may not be as strong, he may not be as tall as Drew McIntyre, but one thing he has is heart and the people. Before he ended up saying that, actually, he starts mentioning how the fans constantly chant his name. They've been chanting his name for over a decade. Then he starts mentioning Seth Rollins, how the fans chant Seth Rollins' theme song. Then he mentioned, what did the fans do for you? He ends up saying that you're basically the third wheel in this scenario. He's basically the third wheel, which is true and not true. Technically speaking, it's true and not true. Then he ends up mentioning how he's not as fast, he's not as strong, he's not as powerful as Drew McIntyre, but he has more heart and he has the people. What does Drew McIntyre have? Drew McIntyre ends up pulling up his hand and ends up showing the bracelet, which I thought was amazing. Ends up showing the bracelet, with his dog and his wife, AJ. And then CM Punk wants to attack him, but he can't. He can't attack him. And Seth Rollins, during this, is just laughing up. He is enjoying every second of watching these two just going back and forth, bro. This was a great segment. This was really good. Both wrestlers getting each other's skin. Love that Drew McIntyre got under Punk's skin, but Punk can't attack because if he attacks, the match is canceled. This was great. This was amazing. I cannot wait until SummerSlam. That match should be a banger. I can't wait to see what happens, man. I'm very excited for SummerSlam, man. I can't wait. Okay, we get Otis, Akira Tozawa versus the Cre Brothers. This was a decent match, nothing too major here, but the Cre Brothers ends up picking up the victory. You get the Cre Brothers and Chad Gable. They're constantly about to attack Otis. They're constantly attacking Otis. Then you get Maxine Dupree. She hops on the back of Chad Gable. Chad Gable, of course, gets her off of his back. Then they're going back and forth. Maxine Dupree ends up slapping Chad Gable. She slaps Chad Gable. It looks like Maxine basically wants to fight Chad Gable. They're going back and forth. And then you already know what it is. The YX6. The lights go out. The fog all over the ground, all over the ring. Then the three members comes out. Dexter, Joe, and Eric. they walk towards the ring. No Nikki Cross, no Uncle Howdy. They walk towards the ring. They go up towards the ring apron, and they end up revealing themselves. They revealed themselves. They took off the mask and revealed themselves. I thought that was very dope. I love that they did that. Then out of nowhere, Nikki Cross jumps off the top rope. She came out of nowhere, ends up jumping on top of Chad Gable. Then the Y6, Joe, Dexter, and Eric all attacked the Cre Brothers. They completely dominated and took out the Cre Brothers. Then afterwards, they end up evacuating the ring. Chad Gable goes up the entrance ramp. He's, trying to avoid them. And then Uncle Howdy appears right behind him. It looks like Uncle Howdy was probably going to attack, but Chad Gable isn't running. This was great. This was amazing. Very shocked that this isn't a SummerSlam match, but next week, they will have a match next week. So this will be their in-ring debut next week. So I'm very interested how that plays out. But I'm very shocked that their in-ring debut isn't on a pay-per-view, but I'm excited to see how that plays out. Next, we get Sheamus versus Brodie. This match played out how I expected. Sheamus was about to pick up with the victory, but then out of nowhere, you get Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne comes out of nowhere, interferes, attacks Sheamus, allowing Brodie to hit the tsunami and picks up the victory. I like what they did here. I like what they did here, getting Pete Dunne that real heel heat that he needs. Also, him turning on, well, not turning, but him also attacking Trick Williams. I love what they're doing here because you need Pete Dunne to really get real heel heat, to have people really hate him, because the fans, they know who Pete Dunne is, but they're not really accustomed to him because he's more of an on and off character. One moment they show him a lot, the next moment he's off TV. So they need to actually get him some real heel heat for this feud to actually, build up momentum. So I like what they did here. I'm excited to see what else plays out in this feud because it has a lot of potential. But yeah, I like what they did here. This was pretty solid. Now we get Xavier Woods versus Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross ends up picking up the victory here. This story is very hard because I like both wrestlers in the ring, but it's kind of doing nothing for them. I don't know what the end goal here. I'm assuming the end goal has to be Karrion Kross wins this feud, but part of me feels like the New Day are going to overcome the Final Testament. But yeah, I don't know what's next for Karrion Kross because this feud is just not hitting. Now I will be fair. I don't think the material he has gotten is the best, but I also think part of it is also him as well. Because I don't know what else you need. Because he has the girl, he has a decent look, he has the entrance. Even though I think his entrance is not that good, but he has everything you kind of would want in a superstar, and he's still not getting over. So I don't know what's next for Karrion Kross, but this feud just isn't it. It's just not it. Now we get Sami Zayn versus Dominic Mysterio. Judgment Day. Well, not really Judgment Day. Finn Balor, Dominic, Carlito, and JD want to finish their Jey Uso and Sami Zayn problem. So this is why this match is set up. Sami Zayn was about to pick up the victory, but of course Judgment Day ends up interfering, ends up causing a disqualification. They end up attacking Sami Zayn. Jey Uso ends up coming out, of course ends up making a save. Then out of nowhere, Braun Breaker does what he did last week, ends up attacking Sami, but this time Sami Zayn overcomes the odds and ends up taking out Braun Breaker. Nothing too major. This was just, to give their final farewell to, to SummerSlam, because this is the go-home show, so nothing too major. But I love what they did here. This was an overall decent segment. Now we get Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler versus Lyra Valkyria and the KCs. Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler ends up picking up the victory. After the match, though, you get Damage Control make their return. Ends up taking out Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler. And next week, it's going to be Dakota Kai versus Sonya Deville. So it looks like Damage Control is going to be in the mix, trying to take control who runs Monday Night Raw. Very interested to see how that plays out. Don't know what the end goal here, but I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Because I like all people in this situation here. I don't think nobody's going to benefit from this because if we're being honest, no one's going to benefit from this. But I am interested a little bit to see how this plays out. Now for the main event, Finn Balor versus Gunther. We already knew Gunther wasn't going to lose. Gunther ends up tapping out Finn Balor, but after the match, he's continuing to constantly hold the submission hold on Finn Balor. He's not letting go. Damian Priest ends up coming out to the ring. They end up brawling. Now, on my end, ended up cutting off while they were still brawling, so I don't know how the brawl ended, but it showed Damian Priest having the upper hand. I don't know if Gunther eventually ends up getting the upper hand, but on mine, it just stopped during while Damian Priest had the upper hand, and that's how you end Monday Night Raw. This was an overall solid show. Nothing too major, but this was a solid show. This was definitely a go-home show, but they didn't do too much, but this was a solid show overall. I'm very excited for SummerSlam. You guys let me know your opinions below. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode of Monday Night Raw. Let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.